Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is your boy King Say on the mic, and today, man, we're going to be reacting to a video that a bigger YouTuber had covered on this game. As you guys can see, already 4,000 views on it. It's really only been up for like an hour, so that's pretty nice that we have that going on in this game. And I think that this guy doing the video on this game is a good thing, no matter if he's talking bad or good about the game. Because we just need all eyes on this, so I'm gonna hop right into it. Let's see what he's talking about. I mean, hopefully it's all good. I want to see what issues he does brings up with this game, because he is it enough from our future evolution? So we'll see what he brings up. Let's hop right into it, man.
Marvel Future Revolution. Well, I wanted to approach the game with fresh eyes after taking a long break from it and really try to answer the question, should you come back to Marvel Future Revolution? Should you reinstall the game? Should you give it another try if you quit or if you never tried it in the first place? And why now versus any other period in time? Well, with Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, they've added a lot of new features, and they've been adding them since, the game came out. They've refined a lot of features, and they've added Scarlet Witch as a brand new playable character after Magic. So this is really, I think, a good point.
Okay, so I think he's coming from the standpoint that the game has seemed to upgrade it in terms of the content and what they have going in here. I guess it's nice that he's keeping up with the game. I kind of figure, like, I think this game does show that even though a lot of people kind of rag on this game, there's also still eyes on this game, even from the people that quit, just because of the way the gameplay looks, the graphic looks. So I can definitely understand if, even though people can poop on this game, but they still keep an eye on it, because this is a good game at its core when it wants to be. So
of reference for those of you who maybe quit 6 months ago or quit 8 months ago, to see how far the game has come in this time, because I really love Marvel games. I do think this game does a lot of things well. I do think this game could do a lot of other things better, much better. So I just think it's sort of an interesting topic to cover. And for those of you who really like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, for those of you who really like Wanda, you do have some content here that you can explore completely for free and have fun with in the meantime. So yeah, I'm going to show you some autoplay gameplay while we talk about a couple of the first features. Wow, that's loud. A couple of the first features that I think have improved. I've got basically 5 things that I think have improved in the game in the time being, and 5 things that I think have still not improved or still need to be improved. So sort of like a pros and a cons list. So the first thing is the login rewards. The login rewards have actually gotten a lot better, both in terms of the regular monthly check-in, which actually was improved maybe like a month or 2 ago, and other event login. So they have like these events that happen to coincide with new characters. We have the Scarlet Witch training. We have a returning 14-day player check-in. If you quit the game at all, you get a returning 14-day check-in. I don't know how many times you can get this one, but I can get it at least once, which is nice. And then there's the Scarlet Witch login, which has tons of rewards and is actually a 7-week login event. I haven't gone detail by detail to see every single reward, but a lot of them are quite good. You have a 6-star special costume box at the end of the 7 weeks. You got lots of crystals at the beginning, so there's quite a lot of stuff. So it does seem that the game is being a bit more generous than it was almost a year ago when it first released. That is
okay, so he did hit on this. Okay, I was hoping that he was. This is kind of like one of the bigger things that I had originally thought was, like, the login rewards were pretty shite. So I mean, I think that this event is definitely good, and I think that him highlighting this is also very great. I say that because this is what's going to bring players back that kind of quit. These are the kind of things that's going to bring at least new players in, right? Because when you see all of these rewards that's going on over here, you're just going to, at the very least, even if you come back to not actually play, you're going to at least come back to get these rewards, because you just never know when the game will actually pop off. So why miss out on this content? So I think that is fantastic that he hit on this.
That is a really good sign. There are other things that sort of correlate with this one that imply that they're being a bit more generous in some ways, not in every way. But that is something that you do want to see, because that was one of the main criticisms of Marvel Future Revolution when it launched. It was just way too expensive and way too stingy with the rewards. And we know that's sort of Netmarble's MO, right? Just like squeeze for like the absolute minimum of rewards and then slowly open the faucet and release a little bit more rewards, a bit at a time, sort of thing. So the login event thing changing and the login rewards changing is really, really good. I do like that feature. I do like that change. The second change that I do really like as well, it's in the shop again, is the tokens that they've designed for sort of like a pity system. So this is brand new, and I don't want to get too into the details on it, but basically you have selection boxes. So this is basically like a pity selection if you've spent money and you've not gotten what you wanted. So you gamble and you do like a pull, you do a multi, you get tokens. In this case, there's these Scarlet Witch tokens, and then there's other tokens that you like. There's multiple different types of tokens. There's event tokens and normal tokens. It's actually pretty complicated, and it's not necessarily the easiest system to understand. But basically,
so I wanted to stop on that note. I think what he is conveying here is, in the long draw, he's saying that there's basically too much currencies going on here, which he's right. He's definitely right. He might not come out and say that directly, because I don't think that he knows how to convey what he's trying to say, but he is definitely basically saying like, hey, it's a lot of currency in here and you're just going to be very overwhelmed with what you need to spend tokens on and things of that nature. And I think that's one big criticism.
So you do have to be careful and do a lot of research. Don't just dive into this thinking that it's exactly like other games and you're going to be able to figure it out right away. That's a bad idea. That's a risky proposition, but it's a much better system than they had before, because like I said before, there was no safety net at all, and we went through that with Marvel Future Fight with no pity system, and it's a nightmare, right? Oh, I went 20 pulls and no CTP. Wow, that's garbage. You wasted all that money, right? So that's a better system. Another system that's brand.
Okay, see, I'm kind of laughing because this is what I was. Okay, so the thing is a lot of issues that's what Marvel Future Revolutions are, a lot of issues that Marvel Future Fight had. And this is why I always say to you guys, the excuse that, hey, this game is new, so give it time. I'm literally coming from the place of, no, like, this game is not really new. A lot of these issues that you see with Marvel Future Revolution are issues that they have fixed in their other games in the past time. So they deliberately held back some things about Marvel Future Revolution to get more money, even, and it kind of just backfired in their face, like just kind of blew up, and now they're kind of reaping what they're sowed. But as you guys can see, his face talking about no pity on CTP chests and things like that. Yeah, that was a thing in Marvel Future Fight, and I remember going like 1K, 2K deep, and probably only getting like maybe 2-3 CTPs, and it kind of just like stunted my expectations for this game in terms of gambling goes.
Brand new that's actually really cool is called the Pegasus Base. Now this is basically for you players out there who want to grind without even playing the game. It's a pretty cool system, and basically what you do is you send your character on missions, and they do the missions, like the actual missions in the game, but you don't even have to be in the game. I can't really show you this one because it's time sensitive, but basically I'm going to switch over to Star-Lord here, quick run through the story for free while you're playing a fourth character. The next thing I like that MFR has been doing lately and sort of expanding on is the crafting system, and they have a dedicated crafting system and a limited time crafting system for special events. I'm not going to get too much into the details on this, but basically, in addition to the regular crafting that the game had when it came out, which is basically untouched and it's the same, you now have like badge crafting and other kinds of crafting that can eliminate some of the RNG aspect of the progression that they actually have fixed, which I actually really like, because that's my major problem in the con section for this game long term.
Okay, so he brought up crafting. I think he acknowledges that it is better. However, it's still kind of bad. And I think he's right though. They're definitely on the right track to like doing something with the crafting station.
The last thing I really like about Marvel Future Revolution is the Epic Invasion. Now, this month's Epic Invasion, or the next 2 weeks, is of course themed around Dr.Strange and Multiverse of Madness. They had an Epic Invasion with, I believe, Magneto before, and then they had this universe sort of thing. You have 5 difficulties, which is sort of good and bad because it gates players with power level, but I think this is a really good game mode in essence. I'm not 100% sure about the rewards because, like I said, I haven't played it too seriously. I played it more casually, but I do like the idea of this content, and I really like that it's time-limited content, which means that you're not worrying about farming it every single day forever. It sort of comes and goes, and you have sort of a nice change of pace with that. Speaking of change of pace, now let's get into 5 things that I don't like about Marvel Future Revolution. The first one is...
Okay. So I'm glad he hit on invasions. Fantastic. He touched on it. He kind of hit it on the head. Everything about it is good besides the gating. The gating is absolutely terrible. They need to fix that, in my opinion, but who knows. Now he's going to get into the cons here, and let's see what he says. Because the cons, when people watch these kind of videos, they don't care about the pros. They're here to hear about the cons, bro, because... let's be honest, no matter how many pros a game have, if the cons outweighs the pros, then like you're not going to want to play that game. So let's hear what he says about the cons.
Pretty straightforward. The gambling rates, they're still exactly the same. While they have introduced the pity system, the pity system only gives you a certain number of tokens. As you can see, one pull gives you 10 tokens, so you have to do 20 pulls to get 200 tokens. That's still going to cost you. You can do the math on how many crystals, close to 40,000. So it's just still way too expensive in my opinion. And the bundles for crystals haven't changed either. So if you're trying to purchase those things, you're still going to have to fork over the same amount of money for the same amount of crystals. So that hasn't changed, and that is still quite bad. Another thing that's actually worse is that gold is still a huge bottleneck for basically everything, because you'd use gold for basically everything, whether it's crafting, leveling up your character's potential, leveling up the...
Okay. Alrighty. So I like the 2 things that he hit on, right? Yes, I think thank God we do have that quote unquote pity system now, but it's like super expensive to hit, and yikes. That is one thing that I can definitely say that, hey, this is kind of ridiculous. I would say that Marvel Future Fight rates are, their rates and crystals and purchases and all that are very more guaranteed, so I can't really get on him about the criticism like this. But however, I may be able, let's see what he says. Let's see what he says about the gold.
Their skills, changing their skills, yada yada yada, combining uniform costumes. Like, gold is everywhere, but it's still so stingy, it's bonkers. And so you can see all these red dots from skills that I either don't level up or don't even upgrade, like unlock all the upgrades on. Like you can see here, we still have those. The other thing that I wish that they would maybe get rid of, but not actually get rid of, just tweak, is PvP. I'm not going to show you PvP because it would just be an absolute...
Okay, so he finished off with gold. He's right. He's right. And a lot of people, a lot of people say there's more ways to get gold in this game. You are 100% correct. But however, everything you want to do in this game costs gold. That is yikes. Yeah, a lot of things cost gold. Even if you want to rank up your character, rank up like a companion, and it's crazy to me that companions even cost the same amount, depending on, if it's rare, normal, or even special. They just all cost the same. So I just he's right about that. Even though you can basically make the same argument in Marvel Future Fight, theirs is arguably worse because theirs take, unfortunately, a lot of gold and crystals as well. For an example, if you want to, how we have in this game where you can just equip things and unequip things, that doesn't work that way in Marvel Future Fight. In Marvel Future Fight, you have to use crystals to unequip it. Like, imagine you put a regional gear on a character, and then for you to unequip that regional gear, it's not just a simple unequip button. It costs you 200 crystals. Yeah, so I think both games have their negatives and positives to it. But let's keep it going though. I like the things that he's saying, man. I'm loving the things that he's saying. I really am. I think he's being very fair.
Absolute slaughter fest, but it's basically just an absolute slaughter fest. And the best way I can put it is that if you're not a whale, PvP is basically a nightmare. And on top of having, you can then go into your character, pretend I was a whale, okay? And I'm going to unequip all of my gear, okay? And then that lowers my power, right? So when I lower my power, I'm then going to be paired up with players at the same power level. And then when I get into the match, I can just re-equip my gear. What?
Okay, he explained that a little bit wrong. It's not Omega War that you can do that. It's Alliance Omega War that you can do that. And I'm pretty sure they almost patched that. But even when that was inside the game, that was absolutely awful. That was not... I couldn't believe that was even allowed. But what he's trying to convey is he's saying that... What he's really meaning to say is there is this thing where no matter the power level you are, it goes by levels, right? So you can be in level 100 to level 110 war, and you could be going against people kind of like Cynical Alex, like newer players that's just leveling up their character to play the game. They're probably like, what, power level 500, 600, 700, some semi around there. But then you can have your vet self, your whale vet self can come into 110 war and just be like 2 million with stacked out gear.
Playable if you don't have at least like over 1 million and change power. Like not even 1 million is good enough anymore, because players can go over 2 million at this point, literally double. So yeah, PvP is still an absolute travesty, and it's basically, I just basically pretend it doesn't exist in this game, which I think is a real disservice to whoever designed it. Because it's been mishandled hilariously. Next thing that bugs me about Marvel Future Revolution is the inventory. This system, really issue that Marvel Future Revolution has, in my opinion, is probably the biggest, and that is the roadblock that you hit when you're playing the game and you play through all of the story content and you go through all of the PvE stuff and you equip the best items you can on the character because you want your Scarlet Witch, your Doctor Strange to be as strong as you can, but you still hit a roadblock. Anywhere from 500 to 600,000 power, you're going to hit a roadblock, maybe a little bit more than 600,000 if you played since launch. And basically, once you hit that roadblock, the game just turns into a daily grind fest where you're just going in, grinding, crossing your fingers to get a small bump in power, and then when you do or you don't, you log out and you rinse and repeat the next day. The progression and the sort of the build of progression has a really nice crescendo up to about 500,000, where you do feel like you're making changes and you're making upgrades, and those upgrades matter. But then right around 500,000-600,000, unless you spend, of course, that crescendo just plummets, just absolutely plummets. And I've hit that wall with my Dr. Strange before I started spending, and then I stopped spending altogether. I hit that wall with my Iron Man, I hit that wall with my Magic, and I'm sure I'm going to hit that wall very, very soon with my Scarlet Witch. And it basically is a topic that is hard to explain, hard to talk about necessarily.
It's not hard to explain. It's really not hard to explain. This right here these are just Netmarble practices. This is the same thing you even hit in Marvel Future Fight. I'm not saying he's being disingenuous about it, but it's definitely something that is hit in a lot of Netmarble games. For an example, you can go play Marvel Future Fight. Yeah, you can go progress, but you're going to hit that point where there's nothing to do. And this is like very early on in the game as well. Like, you're not going to be able to do nothing. The characters that you can build, you're not going to be able to like transition over to the other game modes much easier, because you need like at the very least like what, maybe 15, 20 tier 3 characters just to fully run through the end game, if you can do that. And like when you're in that mixture of doing that, all it is basically you get on, do your dailies, and then you get off. You get on, do your dailies, and get off. So that's kind of the same thing in this game, and I wish that Netmarble would fix it, but he is completely right in the fact that Marvel Future Revolution has some very big issues with how this game plateaus. This game plateaus very quickly, and that's why a lot of new people quit when they play this game. So that's kind of like the biggest issue I'm having right now, is a lot of this update is good, but they still haven't fixed the core problems.
But a lot of players who don't spend money on this game express the exact same issue, where, you know, the game changes dramatically, where, you know, when you're building from level 1 up to level 120 and you're sort of doing that grind, it feels good. But then once you hit 120 and you sort of realize that the grinding an eye on for sure.
Okay, so yep, I think I think a lot of his criticisms is they're very warranted, and I have not really heard much of condescending in here. He was kind of just basing the game off of his own merits. There's really no need to compare the two, Marvel Future Fight and Marvel Future Evolution. But yeah, he's right though. Like, they need to fix that mid game for sure, and just adding content is not going to do it, because every time you add that content, the whales just get stronger, as you guys can see, and they're pretty much in a tough place, because if they even try to fix systems to an egregious point, it's kind of gonna like nullify a lot of what the whales have done, like especially the whales who spent like thousands of dollars. However, I will say this: I think that a lot of whales are way more forgiving in this game because they just want this game to succeed. For an example, whales spent like almost 10K on special gear, right? And here we are about to get a login with a special gear selector. Did you guys see any whales complaining? I didn't see a whale complaining. I mean, they very could have been. They could have just been like, oh, that piece would have cost me 500 to get, 300 to get, but you just giving away a selector. So I think that's one good thing that is about the whales in this community. All right, everybody. I feel like this video was I think this is a good video. He brought up some valid issues. He brought up some valid good points as well. And even when you go through the comments, a lot of people are, they're not being like childish or anything like that. A lot of people are just, they're kind of just like, hey, this game still has the same issues almost as like Marvel Future Fight. You got some people that's saying like, the game is definitely, it had potential, or it has potential. So I 100% think that this video was good for the community, because at least get more eyes on it. And I think 100% a lot of players that did quit probably seen this video and was like, oh, those are the login rewards, okay, let me hop back in there and to at least grab those. So glad he made that. Cynic Alex, you're a good guy. Continue to keep making content, man. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.